Alright. Since these two are in the shop, I figure I'll take a minute to show you guys around on them. Let's see here. Where's a good place to start? We'll start back here. So, first thing is, oh, here, hang on a second. Okay. So, this was a WC thing. They moved the MU cutouts down here so that they're easier to deal with than when they're under the steps. If you got a leaky valve and got to change it out or anything like that. Brake pipe's still in the normal spot. That also is a WC thing. These, the hardware supplier they got, all their bolts look like this. So if it's a bolt that looks like that, it's something the WC did. These things got a bunch of Canadian trucks on them from when the CN had them. What else is interesting? So, something to note. Is these things were never dual cabinet. From new, that was part of the reason. Part of the reason they put the Qtrons on these XBN locomotives in the first place is because they were always single cabinet. So everything that would normally be in, they still had all the switchgear that the dual cabinet locomotives had, but they had it all crammed up in the front cabinet. And that was kind of the start of the problems. So, as you can see, it doesn't have a provision for the upper support or any of that up here for the cabinet in the back. It also doesn't have the conduit for the dynamic brake stuff because a dynamic brake dual cabinet locomotive, a bunch of it came through the radiator hatch and down into the cabinet from the top. This doesn't have any of that. It still has the big conduit running across the floor and the junction box back here, but this is configured differently than the dual cabinet locomotives. So another point is at some point, I don't know if it was on the BN or the WC, they got this X-brace added into them because the rear body corners on these get damaged pretty easy. They crack and break and all this, so WC put this big brace in them, or maybe BN in the later days, I'm not sure which. And this one's still got at least one of the original BN hoods, there's Cascade green in the crevices all over it still. Let's see here. Oh, that was the thing I'm forgetting. Something Joe pointed out to me just this past week is this. So this is the vent line that goes to the top of the radiators, and it goes to the top of the oil cooler and the top of the expansion tank. And what the WC did was they cut this contraption into it, and what you do is you hook up a line here and hook up a line here, and you close this valve and you pump water into that, into the left end of it, and then the right side, well, I suppose the right side you just pull the cap off of, and you have to let it vent until water started coming out of it, screw the cap back on, and then pressurize it. But then you'd have the radiators and everything completely full of water. The way we do it is we just pump it in through the compressor heads. So the advantage of that is if you have a leak up in the rads, they'll usually the air leaks out pretty fast, so you just sort of keep pumping water into it and until the water level finally finds the hole. So it still works. Yeah, so this is what the generator room in this thing looks like. This is the one that's got baggy filters in it. But it is just crammed in here. That big bump is for the load test contactors. The load test contactors stick out into that. Oh, that was another thing. Joe said they had these doors made. They look just like a standard door for the most part, but it's got a steel skin on both sides, but the core is an aluminum cutout, basically, so it's all hollow in the middle. And they weigh like half as much as a standard door, but it uses all the standard door hardware, and it'll fit in a standard door opening. So right now we're in the 10, 7510. As typical for the WC, they put tread plate on the heater because the WC actually like their guys. These still got the Clark headset boxes in them. That's the connector. You connect that into something in the back of the radio, and then it works, or at least it originally worked. And that's the talkie pedal on the floor. And this is the box for the conductor. And this is the way the electrical cabinet was in these, or is in these, I should say. So this side, this panel, that door, everything underneath where all the contactors are, that's all factory original. And in fact, all the high voltage cabling and more than half of the low voltage is all original. Basically, all they changed was they pulled out the IDAC, and everything the IDAC controlled was all changed, but basically everything else got left the same. Come on, you. There we go. So you got the Qtron chassis. Still got stuff. This is where all your got one set of cards down there, one set of cards up here. Don't ask me what it all does. I know one of them is the voltage regulator for the oxygen, and sometimes you gotta wiggle it because it'll no power will turn on, and then you gotta wiggle the card, and usually that fixes it. Other than that, I don't know jack shit about what's in there. Yeah, they just saw it out, part of the original cabinet, and bolted all this in. Or I shouldn't say bolted, welded. So this is actually where this caulk is. That's the actual original door frame. See how the post is cut? So this is actually that's actually the bead roll for the rubber to seal the original doors. And this is all just sort of, for lack of a better term, glued onto it. Of course, you got the screen. All this stuff. But this side's all the way it was. All the old fuses and everything. Some stuff's been deleted, but that's all. Well, like this has the controls for traction motor cutout, and something else has been deleted out of it because those are computer functions now. And this is where all the delicious, delectable, delightful clackety clackety clack clack sounds all come from. That make it all, you know, work really fast and not break all the damn time. Then this, so something to mention. So this one's got a 2-stick controller in it. It's in the original control stand. So this control stand's been modded twice. The BN cut the original gauge console off of it and put the big gauge, big amp meter console on it. They reused the old gems, but for the the sand and PCS and everything, but they converted it to big gauges. And then the CN had, after the takeover, the CN had a program where, as the controllers failed or developed problems, they would convert them to a 2-stick. Now, when you convert them to a 2-stick, there's a bunch of wiring that actually has to get changed because they're wired pretty different. So a bunch of this got changed, altered, replaced, and the some of the resets for the data recorder don't work anymore. So changing throttle position works, but moving the reverser and moving dynamic brake don't work anymore on this one. I don't know if that was unique to this one or not, because this is the only one of these conversions that we have in the fleet. Which means it's the only one that works. So, fuck if I know, but let's deal with that. And then, as always with these cheap bastards, all they did was they scratched out the 6 and painted a 7 over it when they converted it from the 6510 to the 7510 when they did the rebuild and put the Qtron in it and all that fun happy shit. Because even though WC did a bunch of mechanical work to these when they put the Qtrons in them and whatnot, they really did as little as they thought they could get away with. And it worked out pretty good. So, next stop on our little tour. So the number boards just got redone. And as you can see, these are the original number boards from when it was 6510. So there's the shadow for the 6, and then there's another shadow on top of it from the 7 that got applied. And then the 510 is solid because those never got renumbered. And the numbers were starting to peel really bad. And they were black numbers on a white board. And DMVW has kind of adopted white numbers on a black board. So since they were peeling and needed to get restickered, the decision got made to convert them. So this is at least the 3rd time these boards have been altered. I'm not sure if these are the original boards from the BN or not. It's got scoops. Scoops are cool. Scoops are good. Oh. So now we're on the 05. And the 05 is a little bit different breed of cat. This thing got rolled over on this side in like 96 or 97. There's pictures of it on its side on Rail Picture Archives. So you can actually see where they torched off. You can see the little wibble in the material. And then this whole side of the cab, I don't know if they fabricated it or pulled it off of a locomotive they weren't going to use anymore. I really don't know. But from about right there, that vertical line you can see in the paint, over, this is the original cab. So, it's not really apparent here, but you can see there's a patch on the bottom of the nose, and the whole side of the nose is kind of concave, pushed over a little bit. And then the whole cab isn't square anymore. It's slightly parallelogrammed to camera right. It's locomotive left, but it's camera right here. So those are the original, those are the gaskets and the glass that was in the cab when it smushed over. And this door is one of those WC doors, and they redid the jamb. Oh crap. They redid the jamb so that it lays over it because the cab's all smushed over and it wouldn't go in anymore. So they sort of welded in a new door surface, sort of, kind of, so the door would work. You can see this is all rippled out from the cab getting laid over. Another thing to mention, I didn't mention it on that, but they took the grab iron off the top of the nose and moved it over there. So it makes a more better step to get up on top of the roof. So here, same story with this again. And again, you can just make out it's all squished over. So that's all the original cab wall. And this is all off of, I don't know what, or if they made it, or what the story is. I don't think it's going to show up in the camera, but it goes, the cut line goes right through the right side of the zero. And again, the signature WC tread plate. This one still has its selector controller. This one's unrebuilt. The 7517 has a controller that that was worn out, and Joe rebuilt it. So Joe's got parts for these. If you guys have one of these that needs to get rebuilt, Joe's got the parts and knows how to do it. Some more recycling. That's the original W from WC. We just scratched out the C and put DMV in front of it. That's saving money. We're gonna record record profits from stuff like that. Gotta save on the way out. At any rate, that's all basically the standard stuff. And then, let's see here. So then, this thing is all fucking jacked up from the wreck. And this hood's off of a different locomotive. I think this hood's off of a one of the Santa Fe 45s, because fucking nothing lines up or fits or anything. This thing is hammered. And to top it off, well, it's not so obvious from this side, but this thing had a fire back here not too long after we bought it. The pressure line coming out of the fuel pump burst, and it'll be more visible on that side, but all the wiring and everything back here for the governor and all that just got completely fucking fried on this thing. Had to get redone. So this one's missing the brace. So you can, again, so you never had the cabinet in here. But the roof has the cabinet brace. So this roof's off of a, see, and the V is all built different. So this roof is off of a different locomotive. And then that's the cabling track for the dynamic brake cables that came into the rear cabinet for the motors on the rear truck. And again, that WC valve arrangement. And as you can see, everything back here is still fucking fried from that fire. You know, at this point, like 10 fucking years ago. Well, longer than that. I never ask what the chain is for. Never, never, never. I don't want to know. And another sign of things being kabobbled because the class lights are deleted off the front, but they're still present on the back on this hood section. All burned. Crispy, crispy. I goes, that hose failed. Or one of those two failed. Burned it up. And it's still got the dealy wipers on the pipe for hot water cab heat. Fun times. This side's just as thrashed as far as doors being fucked up and nothing works and can't get nothing open. And you can see where this all got chopped out, changed. And then this whole side of the fuel tank's been reskinned. See how it's flush. I think all they did was they just skinned over the smashed in tank side. Doesn't really look like they were removed. Or if they did, they didn't do a very good job of it. And these things are all kittywampus still. All bent up. Well, this is the original bracket. You can see where it got folded under and they just bent it out. Air tank on this side still pushed in a little bit. All kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, you ever get Ever get offered one of these, don't take the 5. 10's sort of okay, the 17's really good. So, there you go. Another boring Sunday down.